Did you know that the story of human civilization as you learned it in school is likely incomplete? Major documentaries are now challenging long-held assumptions, revealing Africa's pivotal role in shaping humanity's story. Today, we're diving into the world of African history documentaries, exploring how they're rewriting narratives and bringing untold stories to light. We'll be focusing on series like the BBC's The History of Africa, presented by Zeinab Badawi, and Henry Louis Gates Jr.'s Africa's Great Civilizations, two monumental works that together offer a sweeping overview of the continent's rich and complex past. These aren't just historical accounts, they are powerful tools for education and cultural reclamation. These documentaries are challenging the status quo. For too long, Africa's history has been relegated to the sidelines, often framed through the lens of European colonialism. These documentaries, however, are shifting the focus, centering Africa as a dynamic force in its own right, a place of innovation, ingenuity, and profound cultural development. They are showing us that Africa's story doesn't begin with colonization, it precedes it by millennia. A key theme that emerges from these documentaries is Africa's undeniable status as the cradle of humanity. Scientific breakthroughs consistently point to Africa as the birthplace of our species, and these documentaries embrace this evidence, presenting it in a compelling and accessible way. This isn't just about ancient bones and fossils, it's about understanding the origins of art, writing, and civilization itself. By emphasizing Africa's central role in human origins, these works are fundamentally changing the way we understand our shared history. They are inviting us to reimagine the timeline, to recognize that the story of humanity begins in Africa. Another important aspect of these documentaries is their Pan-African approach. Rather than focusing on individual countries in isolation, they weave together the histories of diverse regions, highlighting the interconnectedness of the African continent. This approach is particularly evident in series like Africa's Great Civilizations, which covers an immense geographic area, from the ancient kingdoms of Egypt and Nubia to the empires of West Africa and the civilizations of Southern Africa. By connecting these disparate threads, these documentaries create a more holistic and nuanced understanding of African history. They show us that despite the continent's vastness and diversity, there are common threads that bind its people together. The BBC's The History of Africa, presented by Zeinab Badawi, is particularly significant in this regard. Badawi, a Sudanese-British journalist, brings a unique perspective to the series, drawing on our own African heritage to explore the continent's past. Her presence as the narrator is a powerful statement in itself, signaling a shift in who gets to tell the story of Africa. She guides us through centuries of history, interviewing scholars, visiting historical sites, and sharing personal anecdotes that bring the past to life. Her work is essential for creating a new generation of people interested in African history. These documentaries are making scholarship accessible to a wider audience. They are bringing the expertise of historians, archaeologists, and anthropologists to our living rooms, allowing us to learn about the latest discoveries and interpretations. This is particularly important because African history is often underrepresented in school curricula. Many people may not have the opportunity to learn about these topics in a formal setting, making documentaries a crucial resource for expanding knowledge and promoting understanding. The narratives don't end in the past, they connect directly to modern Africa. The emphasis on Africa as the cradle of humanity has profound implications for contemporary African identity, heritage tourism, and cultural preservation. It reinforces the importance of reclaiming African-authored narratives in education and media, empowering Africans to tell their own stories and shape their own futures. The continental framing used in these documentaries also reflect the modern reality that African history is often understood across borders created later by colonial rule. These documentaries are part of a larger movement to reclaim African history and culture. This movement is driven by a desire to correct historical injustices, to challenge stereotypes, and to celebrate the richness and diversity of African heritage. Documentaries like these are playing a vital role in this effort, providing a platform for African voices and perspectives. Of course, the representation of African history is not without its controversies. One of the biggest challenges is the long-standing underrepresentation of Africa in mainstream education and media. For centuries, the continent's contributions to human civilization have been minimized or ignored, perpetuating a distorted view of the past. This is why documentaries like The History of Africa and Africa's Great Civilizations are so important. They directly challenge these older Eurocentric narratives, asserting Africa's rightful place at the center of human history. The phrase "they never taught you this in school" reflects a common sentiment among viewers, highlighting the extent to which African history has been suppressed or omitted from dominant curricula. While the documentary ecosystem is thriving, some critics argue that a focus on broad civilizational themes can sometimes flatten the diversity of African histories into a single narrative. It's important to remember that Africa is a vast and complex continent, with a multitude of cultures, languages, and historical experiences. No single documentary can capture the full scope of this diversity, so it's essential to seek out a variety of perspectives and stories. These documentaries are not just about the past, they are about the present and the future, and they are essential for understanding humanity's story. What are your thoughts on Africa's influence on our world?